Trying not to lose my shit. I'm just trying not to lose my shit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of TemGameBoyz. All right, Josh.
What's good, everybody? I'm just gonna drop on in. See?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, can't you stand still in this thing? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, you won't be able to. It's kind of weird that you can't. All right, so we're back with Saints Row.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm echoing a little bit.
Oh, goddammit. Hold on. Let me, just this. Smiling Jacks. Ooh, I wonder if he's got some flapjacks.
Yeah,
That was stupid.
yes, it was. But anyway, it's cool. It's cool. All right, so it's time for us to go to our new destination here.
Yeah, I'm flying there.
Yeah. So I wanted to have this conversation with you.
Yes.
So I know how passionately you are about this topic, and I think it was best to probably have this conversation best with you on this. But
Okay.
you know about how now companies are trying to shut down pirate websites, right?
Yeah. And if you're gonna go on about how, and if you're referring to the fact that a bunch of piracy streaming websites have been shut down,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real with you. A part of me doesn't fully mind. It more or less just, to me, it's not that I mind it. It's more the fact that I feel like piracy itself wouldn't exist of these things. Like, if it's a show that's easy to get your hands onto, like it's on a streaming service that you could easily get a free trial or pay for, then by all means, I get it. I understand, not wanting your show to be pirated. But a part of me is over here like, if you don't have your show available, then you should not have a problem with someone finding other ways of accessing it.
Yeah, I can believe that to a major area, because I feel like as if certain things in regards to certain streaming shows or videos should still be allowed or available easily, especially if you're doing a streaming service, you should have them available.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I'm doing Cartoon Network, I should have them at least Ed, Edd n Eddy available.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like because a bunch of Cartoon Network shows got knocked off, and a crap ton of animation got knocked off of HBO Max a long time ago and hasn't been re-uploaded. So it makes perfect sense why people would want to pirate that, because there's no other way of getting a hold of it,
Yeah.
Oh, what the fu- This son of a... Oh, that son of a bitch just ran his ass into me for no goddamn reason. I swear, that pisses me off. Oh, that pissed me off. That random ass go-kart just rammed its fat ass into my ass, and that just gets to me, how dare you hit me?
Yeah, so this and the reason why I'm asking you about this is because this all had the whole conversation with the video game.
Oh, video game piracy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always made it clear I am not fully against video game piracy. I feel like at the end of the day, the only time video game piracy is truly bad is if A, you're doing it to an indie title, or B, you're being the video game is very easy to access, I'm perfectly fine with you pirating Game Boy Advance and Super Nintendo and 3DS games, especially 3DS and GameCube games, because for some dumb reason Nintendo just refuses to re-release that shit. But yeah, I fully get that. These assholes really want to fight, don't they? Alright, let's give them someone to fuck with. But yeah, I fully, I get, that type of stuff. Retrieve? Why am I retrieving you? What's... How are you almost dead? Okay, I think we...
That was Shandy last time. Well,
right, let's plant this transmitter.
Well, here's my thing. As I said, I'm fully against the pirating of the games. Reason being because I understand both, especially the aspect of the developer, a company aspect. Especially for me, like especially for like certain games, if a company has no problem with it, I understand. But if a company does said we don't want you to pirate our games, then in my opinion, I don't think it's wrong for a company to be allowed to do that. All right, let's wait for
Time to get your ass in here.
like for instance, like it's all right. It's time for you. All right, but with that, as I said, like if like for instance, I'm doing Nintendo, right? Nintendo says, hey, you know what? We don't want no pirating of our games. We want us to go ahead and keep watch of our, you know, our intellectual property, which in every aspect, every person who owns a certain name or title should be.
Which, yeah, I get, like, you're against pirating games because you feel like, again, companies have every right to protect their IPs. My whole thing is that while, yes, companies have every right to protect their IPs, if the thing that we want to experience or play, if that is not available to us, or if there is no way for us to like easily legally get our hands on it, then under no circumstance should you get angry or frustrated or even have a problem with people pirating your material if there's no way to properly access it. Which is why, again, I personally don't have an issue with people who pirate like GameCube and 3DS games. Heck, even Wii games, because I know for a fact that Nintendo absolutely sucks when it comes to re-releasing their legacy content. Like, if you don't, especially because the worst part about it is that a lot of, like, the more, like, literally the legit way for you to actually get a hold of this content, like, the legal way for you to get a hold of this content, it still makes Nintendo no money. Like, if you were to go out of your way to, say, play F-Zero, like the F-Zero game on GameCube, you would need to find a copy of F-Zero and find a functioning GameCube, all of which Nintendo doesn't produce, by the way. They do not produce any of those things. And I threw a grenade right next to this dude. How is he not dead? You know what? Screw it. Doesn't matter.
I think it's because
But, like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if they don't make this stuff available, then sure, I get it. You have every legal right to crack down on that shit. But I mean, you don't have much of a right to get pissed off when other people find ways to play games that they've been wanting to play for years. You know, that's not really something you can really get on people for or get mad about. Legally, you have every right to go about it, and I'm not gonna say you don't. I just feel like,
go ahead. Randy will follow us.
and I'm gonna leave her.
No, she's in the thing right there anyway. So,
Yeah, we don't need her. But yeah, like, I get it. But, like, I feel like the only time that's not a situation is with indie games, because indie titles, you can get a hold of an indie game pretty easily. Indie titles try to release their games on almost every single console they can get their hands onto, alright? When Undertale came to PlayStation 4, I fully understood. Why am I not going down faster?
Great. They're running. We must have spooked them.
Alright.
I can keep up with a shit.
Oh boy.
Where are the bitch going? Okay, they're going in that direction. Why are you turning around? Stop turning around, damn it.
Well, here's where I don't agree. I don't see the reason of why at one point it gets to a point where, as I said, like when people want to go ahead and do that, because I don't think people, in my opinion, I don't think gamers try to go ahead and do things like it's like, oh, because we want the games accessible. I think it's more of the idea is just that they want the games to be free. You know?
Well, I can understand that there are definitely lots of gamers that do that, but people who actually care about gaming, they do, like, sure, they do pirate video games because they just don't have access to them. A lot of them do want games for free. I'm not going to deny that. But there's also, like, I'm pretty sure that many video games, or many gamers in general, probably wouldn't pirate, or piracy for games would go down if these games were more accessible. Like, that's the whole thing. That's the main problem here. Because, yes, there's always going to be a bunch of jackasses who are just trying to get video games for free. I'll just straight up admit, I was a jackass who wanted video games for free because I couldn't afford video games. I grew up poor. The only two game consoles I ever truly owned were, like, the only two game consoles I ever truly owned growing up was a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox 360. And I got both of those consoles years after it was cool to own a PlayStation 2 and an Xbox 360. Alright, I barely had... Sorry about that grenade. I barely had money for anything new. My mom didn't have money for anything new. I didn't have money for anything new. So yeah, I would pirate video games because I physically just did not have... the money for it. So yeah, I'll admit, there are tons of people who do it for that reasons. But at the end of the day, I feel like if game companies really do want to crack down on piracy, just make their games easier to access, alright? That's all I'm saying.
Well, from a business aspect also, I get that area, but from business, some of them don't do it because they're not making money off it.
Well, yeah, I get it, but again, if they're not making money off of a video game, or if they, aren't trying to make money off of a specific video game, then they don't really have much of a reason to get mad when people pirate the game. Because if people are pirating this specific video game or pirating this game, it shows that you can make some money off of it.
But then at one point, well, here's where I don't like that idea, because if they try to make it more, let's say, accessible to the aspect, and they want to sell it for a certain amount of money, people will be upset about that too. Now, and come on, Shondi, sweetheart, just kill the guy. Well,
yeah, dumbasses get upset anytime people try to make money off of anything. That's just life. Yeah. Everyone's gonna get mad or frustrated when when companies try to make any amount of money. The thing is that the companies are trying to crack down on this issue. That's the problem. It's not, we're trying to make people are gonna pirate your stuff no matter what. That's just a part of life. Piracy is gonna happen no matter what. Thing is, if you want to crack down on it, or at least help make it nowhere near as bad as it is today, listen to the people who are pirating your stuff because they physically just because they physically just can't get a hold of the stuff they want to. That's it.
Well,
that's all you really have to do.
Well, I don't believe that, because of the fact that they actually have access to it if they're able to make a ROM of it. So that's one thing with it. If they said they don't have way of accessing it, but you're making a site where you actually have access to those titles and everything.
Yeah, but again, there's nothing really not to believe. There are people out there who are literally saying and making it clear that what their reasons are for pirating, or what their reasons are for doing that. You can't just look and say, "Oh, I don't believe that." No, dude, I'm telling you that sure, there are people out, what you're saying is true. What you're saying about certain people, that is true. I'm saying that if these companies really want to crack down on it, they need to help the people who aren't doing it just because they're criminals. Because that whole thing.
Yeah, but they can't do that, because in order to crack down, they have to crack down on everybody.
I get that, which is why, while they can crack down on the piracy, they should also make the games that are mostly being pirated, if they're not already accessible, just make them more accessible. PlayStation Plus and Xbox Game Pass, in my opinion, are freaking fantastic, because it gets you access to so many Xbox and PlayStation games that Sony probably wouldn't have given you access to, or just aren't really being made. I can play the entire quadrilogy of Sly Cooper games from my PlayStation 5 because of PlayStation Plus. I can play a bunch of old Xbox games I never thought I could ever have access to because of Xbox Game Pass. Nintendo tries doing something similar with the Nintendo Online service, but unlike Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, there are still tons of Nintendo games that need to be on these services that Nintendo just hasn't done. We don't have GameCube games. We don't have that many Wii games. We don't have a lot of older games that we need, and the charging for it, sure, isn't the worst, but the online service Nintendo hasn't really been the greatest, There are a lot of things that Nintendo needs to improve with this service for it to truly work, and plus, if PlayStation and Xbox can let us just download these old games onto our consoles, then Nintendo should do the same thing with their subscription service. Have a similar subscription service, but for Nintendo games, alright? Let me play Super Mario Sunshine, with a Nintendo subscription and download that to my Nintendo Switch. That should not be a difficult thing for them to do. In fact, I know it's not, because more powerful consoles can do this. Other companies can do this. Again, I get that, yes, you're trying to say that it won't stop, them cracking down on the piracy or them making their games more accessible won't stop people from pirating it. I fully agree with you on that. And I also agree that, yes, there are people out there who pirate video games simply because they just want free video games. Again, perfectly fine, 100% true. What I'm saying is that while these video game developers are cracking down on video game piracy, while they are cracking down on it, they should also be making the games that are being pirated, or at least most of their legacy content that they know isn't accessible, should just make it more accessible. Okay, that car deliberately drove in front of you. That was bullshit, number one. And number two, they should just make the shit more accessible, and it would make it much, like, it would incentivize people to not actually pirate the games. Like, sure, people are gonna get pissed off that the game is... Why did the car explode?
That was my fault. I threw a grenade by accident.
What the fuck, Nico? And you get mad at me for shit.
I know, because you can't drive. There's a difference. I could drive.
Motherfucker, the only reason I can't quote-unquote drive is because of the last Saints Row game we played, and because just like most video games... We have been playing
this game for like almost a couple of months now, Josh.
Yeah, and I have been able to drive pretty damn well in it. It's not my fault the game has a bunch of crash physics. Now get the hell in the goddamn car. I picked out a red one. It's one of your favorite colors. Oh, never mind then. You got a white one.
I already got a car. Now,
and you just crashed into me!
Well, you
I just hit a fat lady because of you.
Well, you know what? You should have been driving better and paying attention to the road. But anyway,
I was. You came up to me and pushed me to the side.
I didn't see you on the side of my car. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, but anyway,
so Nico, we're both. I'm trying to say that we're both right here. As in, what I'm saying is just as correct as what you're saying. Like, that's the thing.
Like,
we're both
I do agree. Like, I think they do need to make this a lot more accessible to that aspect. But
there's no but, Nico. We're saying we agree. Like, that's the thing. Everything I'm saying and everything you're like, they both exist simultaneously.
I know what I'm saying. I know what you're saying to that. But I'm saying why it's gonna be a major issue, because if they do that, of course, which in my opinion I think they should do that, the things, especially like raising the prices, should be a thing. Especially where that should be like, for instance, if I'm doing the subscription, yes, I should have access to Game Boy. I should have access to GameCube. I should have access to Wii. Understandable. But as I said, with that, it comes to the idea of them having to either raise prices. And as I say, even with that, gamers don't want to fucking raise the prices on shit. Because
they don't need to raise the prices. They can just have them at less. Like, I feel like a $60 GameCube game back in the day should be worth like $15 to $20 now.
That depends, unless you want some type of.
I have to censor that.
Yeah, I know.
I know you say that depends, but like, that's just normal business. That's actually how shit was for a while. Older video games, when they went on sale, would drop down to different prices. And with the subscription service, like, I'm not saying they have to raise the prices. I feel like the Nintendo Online Extended thing that they do for like Nintendo 64 games and Sega Genesis games, that price by itself is something I am willing to pay if they threw in a bunch of GameCube games and a bunch of other games. Like, if Nintendo ran their service the same way Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus runs their service, by making it so that, you know, by making it so that you can download the games onto the systems, then while having some of them, you know, online and streamable, that whole thing. But if they make it like that and they add, the price they already have is perfect. And why did you crash into me again, Nico? I was directly in front of you that time. You have no excuse.
Alright, no, that time I actually wanted to just crash into you. But
for fuck's sake. But like, yeah, that is a perfect price. They don't need to raise prices. The price they have now is perfect. And if they do raise prices, then gamers will rightfully complain about it, because they don't need to raise prices on this shit.
Well,
like, that's the thing. It's just a bunch of unethical anti-consumer bullshit that Nintendo is just known for doing, and they wonder why people pirate their games. Like, yes, there are scumbags out there, but at the end of the day, like, the shit's getting worse because they're making it worse.
Well, it's because, as I said, it goes to the idea that if, like, for instance, if they go ahead and make it accessible, I think, in true honesty, Nintendo should make it accessible outside subscription and let people pay for it. The games,
which, yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. Like,
yeah, but if you get the subscription altogether, especially with that, you're also paying to have the game also.
Well, yeah, I think that's also pretty good. Like, if you already paid and purchased the game, you can download it without the subscription. And if you pay for the subscription, you just get access to more games. That's actually how Xbox Game Pass works. Where if you buy, like, say I buy Psychonauts 2, but I get Xbox Game Pass, I'll still have access to Psychonauts 2 even if Game Pass goes away and all that. Thing is, I'll also just have access to like a bunch of other games like Bug Snacks or whatnot, or Blix the Cat. I'm starting to, or the Halo franchise, which I'm gonna be real. I feel like Xbox is the only I feel like the only real Xbox games that really are worth a damn is like Halo and whatnot. I feel like I truly do feel like Xbox hasn't really done too well when it comes to their own IPs.
It's because simply this. And this is why I always say this. I would never stand with Xbox because Xbox has a tendency of getting rid of ideas that should be a thing. Like
they completely refused to make Psychonauts 2 for 16 years, and well, we finally have it, and it literally won Game of the Year in 2021. Like, seriously.
It did.
I better not be waiting another 16 goddamn years for Psychonauts 3, goddammit. But, I want to see Raz and his friends go on more psychic adventures as spies and shit.
Yeah, of course. I think that game was actually pretty good. But to counteract that, as I said, like it goes with the idea of paying for the game. If you go ahead and have the subscription and they bring up the prices because you're actually doing that, that's not unethical.
No, I never said it. I never said it was.
But it's not anti-consumer though.
Okay, when I say anti-consumer or unethical, I'm referring to things that make it more difficult for the consumer to actually consume the media they're trying to get. That's what I mean. Like, when I say it's anti-consumer or unethical, I literally just described a situation that wasn't. You know, when anti-consumer would be if they added GameCube games or added actual GameCube games and Wii games to the Nintendo Switch to be played, and they decided to jack up the price of the subscription service instead of keeping it the same. That would be anti-consumer because people have been asking for GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch for a long ass time. There's no reason why we haven't gotten Nintendo's GameCube and Wii games on the Nintendo Switch for a long ass time. And this Sonic the Hedgehog motherfucker is over here trying to act like he's so fast and shit.
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, that idea is not anti-consumer.
How is it not anti-consumer?
It's not anti-consumer because of the fact that if that was the case, they have the actual right to go ahead and sell it in the price that they choose. If you're going,
that's not okay. Just because you have the right to do something does not mean what the something is not anti-consumer.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it isn't. That's what I'm saying. What my issue is with this is that if you are gonna jack up, if you're gonna add in things like, for instance, you're adding in the sense of another emulator, and the ability, the aspects. Like if I'm using a Wii emulator, I have to use the aspects of being able to use the GameCube controller. I also add the thing for the motion controls all together, and I also have to make that work with the emulator. That's not just working with the ROMs; it's also working with the emulator. That also that will add money towards it.
But those are things that Nintendo can already do and should have done around at least by year 2 of the Switch. These are things that should have been done. The reason it would be anti-consumer is because they're literally charging for something that should have already been there. That's why I say it's anti-consumer, because anti-consumer media is literally it's literally making things not just harder, but it's making things genuinely... Okay, dude, we have to damage the wheels, not the truck.
I'm trying to aim at that right now. Oh well, never mind. Oh, okay. Use the machine gun safely. Okay. Fine.
Oh. So yeah, that's what I mean by it's anti-consumer. I mean it's anti-consumer because of the fact that that it's not actually allowing, or Jesus Christ, why won't it let me in?
Because fucking this guy is literally in the fucking thing.
God damn. Okay, fine then.
Like the thing is, then you would have to hold a lot of other companies available on that.
No shit.
Yeah, yes.
Of course I would.
Yes,
but I don't see PlayStation and Xbox doing this shit. At least PlayStation has an excuse for not having PlayStation 3 games because they coded the PlayStation 3 in a very dickish way. So of course they're not going to be able to make PlayStation 3 games available like they probably should.
But at one point,
Like, they at least have a good reason behind it. This isn't like with PlayStation, not PlayStation, like with Nintendo, who have the ability to do this shit. Like, they have the ability to improve and do better, and they're not. And if they do try and do better, they're not actually doing better. They're just charging you because they're. Did you just destroy the truck again?
no, I just heard the wheels. Got
Okay, like, yeah, like that's what I mean by it's anti-consumer. It's Nintendo doing what they should have been doing from the start and charging up the ass for it. That's the problem. And while sure Xbox and PlayStation have done similar things, at least Xbox and PlayStation know when to double back and fix their shit half the time. Not all the time, but some of the time. Which is my whole point here.
Well, let me tell you the exact same thing with that. Xbox and PlayStation also had to increase their prices. Now, one of the reasons,
which is why I hate PlayStation Plus now, because they did increase the price. Which did Xbox increase their prices too?
Yes, they did. They increased their.
Really? I could have sworn.
They both increased their prices, and it's the exact same thing that a lot of other companies will do because of the fact that they're actually adding in more to what the hell they were gonna expect. Now,
well, yeah, you know what? I actually am okay with that. I'm okay with that, except with PlayStation, because I feel like PlayStation, I feel like they didn't have a reason to increase their damn prices. In fact, that actually lost them a lot of money.
Well, at one point, the thing is, right now in the lead is PlayStation with money.
Well, no, I mean, sure, they're in the lead with money, but they lost a lot of money when they increased the price of PlayStation Plus. I think a huge chunk of their subscriber base fell off.
No, their subscriber base fell off for a different reason. Was it because of the hike in prices?
Well, then what was the reason why their subscriber base fell off?
The subscriber base fell off because of certain things with certain titles. It had more of like the Stellar Blade nonsense, like this and that with other games, and it's just like it fell off a lot more with Xbox when it came to a point where because Xbox was not providing anything with it, and with that, as I said, it comes to the idea, as I said, you say that you don't see PlayStation doing okay with it, but if Xbox does it, it's okay.
I didn't say if Xbox does it, it's okay. I said Xbox does it. I mean, Xbox definitely does a lot of stupid shit, but when it comes down to it, I feel like they actually handle Game Pass pretty well. My only issue is that a lot of the games that they host on Game Pass that should stay there, they kind of just don't. I feel like Xbox kind of screws over a lot of their players when it comes to some of their online titles, but that's really about it.
Yeah, that's why I mean, when you actually have people doing the subscriptions, and that's why friggin' this is why I'm not against them bring out the prices, is because of the fact that if they bring out the prices towards it, one of the fact that if you're doing the family plan, what Nintendo does, because Nintendo's online, especially for what it is more cheaper than what everybody has access. And for instance, as I said, I could bring up 8 people on the online right now, and they'll have Nintendo, Super Nintendo, they'll have Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, Sega Genesis games, all to their accessibility.
That because of a family plan.
Yeah, which is actually way more reasonable where it comes to a lot of PlayStation doesn't have those. That's where,
which again I get, but again I get it. I think this really is just sort of boiling down to us having a console war conversation, and I'm not really up for doing that right now, because at the end of the day, I don't really think there's any real reason to fight over different consoles. I mostly just the original topic was on piracy and shit, and I'm still over here saying that I feel like in many cases
I'm talking about accessibility. When
it comes to accessibility, there's a lot lacking, which is why I feel like Nintendo and many other companies don't have much of a right to keep doing this, which a legal right, sure, but I feel like if they don't give us more accessibility over time, or if they don't improve better, then they don't really have much of a reason to try and act like, oh, we should jack up our prices, or oh, we should make our things cost more, because I don't know, part of me just kind of feels like they shouldn't. There's just a lot of stuff with Nintendo and big corporations in terms of their pricing that makes it much harder to access video games and play them in a way, especially with a lot of companies having this whole video games as a service bullshit, where instead of just letting people enjoy the games that they want to play, they instead believe that video games need to be like a full-fledged overhauled service. Like, we're beyond the days of just purchasing a game and you owning a game. Now we're in a time period where video game companies are trying to make it to where playing the game itself isn't enough. Like, you need to have much more or some shit like that.
I agree that's a point, but we'll continue this conversation in the next episode. All right.
Yeah, honestly, I'd like to move on from the conversation because I don't really think we're getting anywhere. We're like a Democrat and Republican trying to argue about basic human rights.
Well, I like this is why I'm trying to poke your brain at it. That's what I'm trying to like.
Yeah, I get that, but I don't feel like anything's really changing. Like, poking brains is supposed to not just get opinions, but it's supposed to eventually change, and I feel like nothing's really gonna change. Did that guy try to run and take our car?
Yeah, he did.
That was adorable.
Yeah, but all right. Well, with that, guys, go ahead, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and stay tuned for another episode of TemGameBoyz.
Bye, guys.
Trying not to lose my shit. I'm just trying not to lose my shit. The abnormal